Lovely. All right. So coming up next, we've got Ann Kadet. Ann grew up in Buffalo, majored in philosophy, and got her start in journalism, writing for community papers in both Buffalo and Queens. She spent a decade writing a column about New York City business and consumer trends for the Wall Street Journal's City section, which won her a National Press Club Award for humor writing. She is now the creator of Cafe Ann, a newsletter with a focus on New York City that takes a fresh look at the everyday delights and the absurd and profiles unusual folks who do things their way. She is a volunteer teacher and manager at Kadampa Meditation Center, Brooklyn, and lives in Brooklyn Heights with her dog, Minnie. Everyone, give it up for Ann Kadet.
Hi, everybody. So I wrote a blog about New York City.
A most excellent blog.
Thank you, Pete. And I'm going to read a story I wrote about riding for 24 hours on the subway. I just want to say, the question I got asked the most after I published this piece was, why did you start at 9 o'clock at night? So I just wanted to clear that up before I got started. The reason is the bathrooms in the subway are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So I thought, if I go at 9, I can pee, and then I'll only have to make it from like 9 p.m. till like 7 a.m., and then I can use the bathroom in the subway. And then I can like use the bathrooms all day long, and then until 7 o'clock at night, and then I can leave at 9. It was very, very smart, and it worked out really well. So if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna ride for 24 hours on the subway, that's my number one tip. So this is called, I Spent 24 Hours Straight on the New York City Subway. The last thing I do before heading out on my big adventure is to drop my dog to stay overnight with my neighbor Shelley. I tell Shelley my plan. I'm going to spend 24 hours straight in the New York City subway. Oh, by the way, this was all last fall, if you want some context. The rules: I can go wherever I please, chat with whoever looks interesting, and pass the time however I like, as long as I don't pass back through the turnstile. Also, I'm only allowed to eat, drink, and read what I buy underground. Any suggestions? I ask. One word, says Shelley: don't. It's too late. I've wanted to do this for years, Lord knows why, and have spent many hours at this point planning and packing for the trip the way one might prepare for a safari. My tote bag is packed with my toothbrush, notebook, pen, and ibuprofen, and a directory of subway stations with bathrooms. I've also got a list of activities recommended by my, quote, friend, Aharon. Among his suggestions: 1, games using other people as game pieces. 2, cocaine. 3, combined with some other horrible task. Maybe you can do your taxes? 8:50 p.m. I start at the Atlantic Station, the biggest hub in Brooklyn, and scan the scene for my dinner, hoping to find a churro cart. Alas, I spot a cart, but the pan is empty. No more, says the churro cart lady. Sorry. I settle for a cup of fresh sliced mango from the fruit cart lady, and at the pretzel stand, which is closing for the night, the guy hands me a giant cinnamon sugar pretzel. On the house. I choose the D train to Coney Island for my first ride because, well, Coney Island. But there's not much going on in my car. I scan the ads. They are full of bad suggestions. Order lottery tickets from your phone. Be the boldest version of yourself. Become a New York City corrections officer. 10 p.m. I get off at Stillwell Avenue. It's the end of the line, but many passengers stay aboard because they're fast asleep. They're staying overnight on the Motel D train. Why did I think there'd be a big scene at the Coney Island stop? On a summer weekend, it's a big party, but now it's a ghost town. Doing this on a Monday night was truly idiotic, I text Aharon, who asked me to live blog my adventure. I take the Q to Union Square, one of the big Manhattan hubs, which is also creepy quiet. But I do give directions to a tiny tourist man in a baby blue suit, meet an adorable cop dog named Leo, who gives me a kiss, and spot many men sleeping all over the train platforms. You can tell the real street people from everyone else, I observe, by their footwear. They often wear 2 different shoes, or no shoes, or just one shoe, or one foot wrapped in a rag, the other in a sock. 10:30 p.m. I take the L train to the 14th Street 8th Avenue station where I spot the subway equivalent of a dodo bird, a newsstand. Sort of. Like most newsstands these days, it offers 0 newspapers. The magazines, meanwhile, are all dated April 2020, the start of the pandemic. David, the clerk, says he mainly sells candy and drinks, but occasionally sells an outdated magazine. People want to pass the time on the train. They'll buy anything, I observe. Yes, he says. David is from India and has worked the newsstands 9 p.m. to 11 a.m. shift for 2 years. Does it get boring working here, or do you like it? I ask. What? Do you like working here? I work because I need money, said David. It's not liking or not liking. Midnight. Things are lively at Times Square, the system's busiest station, and I spot my first busker, a man playing harmonica. Dressed in a white t-shirt, red tie, and sweatpants, William McPherson is furiously rubbing his stomach and blowing a manic tune. It's hard to get his attention, but after a lot of waving on my part, he stops to chat. Why are you rubbing your belly while you play? I ask. Why not? He replies. We laugh and laugh. Mr. McPherson says he makes about $20 an hour playing midnight harmonica and would continue until he got hungry enough for his next meal. And what's of the tie? I ask. Why not? Are you always in Times Square? Times Square is always on me, he says. 2 a.m. Nearly every seat is filled on the Uptown 6. Where is everyone going at this hour? Of the 10 passengers I survey, 1 is catching a red-eye to L.A., another is out drinking, and a third was out visiting family. The remainder are heading home from work or on their way to work. They are hotel maids, construction workers, and security guards. One, perhaps in an effort to sound fancy, says he's in inventory control. 2:30 a.m. This is the low point. I've been awake for 21 hours and still have 19 hours left to go underground. Plus, in a haze of exhaustion, I accidentally left the supposedly safe zone of Manhattan and boarded the E train to Queens. I get off at the Queens Plaza station, but the Manhattan-bound train platform is roped off. I'm relieved when an orange-vested MTA security guy notices my confusion and comes to my aid. Where are you trying to go? He asks. Just back to the city, I reply. You take the Queens-bound train 1 more stop, cross over, and then take any train back, he says. Have a good night, sweetheart. His kindness cheers me. I head back to the Queens-bound platform and wait and wait. A locomotive chugs by, but it's just the garbage train. I watch an ad on the LED screen explaining how to make a shrimp ceviche. There's just one other person on the platform, a man slumped on the bench who is either passed out, sleeping, or dead. I wait 20 minutes before a live human comes down the stairs. It's Mr. MTA security guy. Still here? He asks. I explain that the only train that came by was the garbage train. He nods sympathetically, and then he has a question. Are you married? No, I say. Boyfriend? He asks. Yes, I lie. Oh, he says, I was going to ask you out. I'm single. Well, he explains he doesn't like online dating, so it's hard to meet ladies. Well, you're a nice, friendly guy, I say. That helps. And I'm generous, he says. Very generous. I spoil my women. I got 2 jobs, but I work a lot. I'm always working, so I don't know if that's a good thing. I'd like to be with my woman all the time, but I can't. He chugs his phone. You got a train coming in 1 minute, he assures me, and disappears back up the stairs. The next train doesn't come for another half hour.
He's a keeper.
2:40 a.m. I hopped the train and dozed all the way to Park Slope, then back through Manhattan to the end of the line in Queens. The cars repeatedly empty and filled with fellow zombies, including entire families with children. Where are they going at 4 a.m.? At one point, I conk out completely. There might have been a troop of dancers and a stabbing on the car, for all I know. 6:30 a.m. I'm happy to arrive at the Fulton Center station in Lower Manhattan. Not only does the bathroom open at 7 a.m., there's a Dunkin' franchise, the only restaurant in the entire subway system. I buy an egg sandwich and coffee, find a spot against the wall, sit on the floor and open my laptop. I love my new office. Fulton Center is one of the system's newer, spiffier spaces. The dimly lit mezzanine, all glossy stainless steel and black tile, has a sort of nightclub vibe. It's nicely chilled and Sinatra plays in the background. I'm enjoying my breakfast and answering email when another MTI security guy approaches. "How's it going?" he asks. I'm thinking maybe he will ask me out. Instead, he asks me to move along. I do feel revived after visiting the clean, spacious Fulton Center bathroom. I pop on my contacts, fix my makeup, and brush my teeth. I'm not alone. The lady next to me, crowned in a white turban, uses the pull-down diaper changing station as her personal cosmetics counter to perform an elaborate skincare routine. I'm going to skip this next part. I'm going to skip this too. I don't want it to get too long.
Self-editing.
So anyway, I go way out to Queens. I meditate on the platform. I meet this guy in a wheelchair with one leg who tells me how awesome life is, and he goes up and down the trains all day, like collecting money and blessing everyone. And I meet my friend Caitlin, and she rides around on the train with me. Blah 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 blah. I drop Caitlin at 190th Street so she can check out the cloisters, and I realize I'm officially fried. I head to the end of the one line in the Bronx, where I spent a half hour reading the New York Post, the only newspaper sold underground, which reminds me that the world consists entirely of people having crazy sex and doing crimes. Then I zoom down to the other end of the line, the South Ferry Station in Manhattan, which has a bathroom. I get a text from my friend Nadia asking, "Do you feel crazy or okay?" I look in the bathroom mirror. I think I look great, but maybe that is part of the crazy. 6 p.m. Thank goodness I'm meeting my pal Scott back at the Fulton Center station. He is also visiting from the one place nuttier than the New York City subway, Florida. I haven't seen him in 5 years. I order my third meal from Dunkin', a muffin, and choose the J train for our reunion. We chat to the end of the line in Queens. "I think an adventure awaits us in Jamaica Center," says Scott as this train pulls into the station. "It's going to be a city within a city." We climb the stairs to the mezzanine level and look around. It's desolate. "Wrong again," says Scott. 7:30 p.m. Just 80 minutes to go, and I still haven't found a churro. Scott accompanies me to the Atlantic Barclay station in Brooklyn, where my journey began. "I've got my churro detectors on," says Scott as the train pulls in, "but no detector necessary." The train doors open to reveal a churro lady right on the platform. I descend on her like a bat out of hell. "Hello, I've been looking for a churro lady all day long, and I've never had one before." I am practically shouting. The tiny vendor is not impressed. "3 for $5, she said. I pay and slip the pastry from its wrapper, take a bite and consider, what does it taste like? "It's a donut," I tell Scott. For some reason, I find this extremely funny. It's almost like I'm drunk. Scott is kind enough to take the R train to Court Street with me. This last stop on the journey is just 2 blocks from my home in Brooklyn Heights. "Look how easy," says Scott. "Seems like it's only been 24 hours since you started." 8:50 p.m. I burst through the turnstile. It feels fantastic. Scott congratulates me on living my dream. "It's great being your own boss," he notes. The next day, Aharon texts to check in. "Final subway thoughts?" Yes, come to think of it, what struck me most was all the people I saw sleeping on the train and on the platform. It wasn't their material condition that gave me pause. No, what hit me was how alone they seemed. And thinking what it must like to be that lonely and disconnected, I cried and cried. and felt fortunate too, because I'd spent a lot of time on my 24-hour journey traveling alone. I was connected the entire time to many well-wishers who were cheering me on through what was essentially a very silly lark. And then I got to go home and sleep in a bed. But that's not what I replied to Aharon. No, my response to him was just 3 words. Great. Never again.